Welcome to the Rack Show. My name is Tim Kelly. I will be one of your hosts today. With me, I have Frank Horvath, and you are listening to the Responsibly Armed Citizen Show, where we talk about everything revolving the responsibly armed citizen. So before we get started, we just passed up the Halloween week, and I'm curious. I haven't got to talk to Frank about it. How was your Halloween?
It was fantastic. The words diabetic coma comes to mind. There was a lot of fun. Kids got, way more candy than they ever need. We have enough, as usual, that will last us, multiple years worth of stuff.
Yep.
I did my obligatory dad tax. So,
Likewise.
all the Reese's Pieces, all the Reese's, they can't have that. That's banned as far as kids consuming that in my house.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, mine was too. It was rather brief. The kids, interesting enough, they got dressed up. Kipley was a little firefighter, and Addie was the pink Power Ranger.
All right.
We went to the Yackenville trunk or treat type thing, and went around, visited the town and different booths that they had set up, and businesses had a whole bunch of candy that they were giving out, and we walked around and the kids did their thing, got their buckets full of candy. And Kipley said he was tired and he was cold and he was ready to go. And Addie says, I want to go count my candy. We hit 50% of the shops. We're ready to go.
That's great.
Okay.
We ended
Score.
We ended up doing a trunk or treat at our church, and the thing about it is Max just wanted to play. His hands are frigid because it was cold.
Right.
And he's just like, no, I'm not done. And I'm like, all right, buddy. Can I have another piece of candy? No, we're done. We're gonna cut you off right there. You still need to sleep. It's 8:00 at night.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. A lot of great time.
Cool. We went to a friend's house afterwards and just hung out by the fire and talked and that type of thing. And the kids played in the hot tub, and it was a fun night. So come home and they racked out pretty hard.
Yeah.
So they were pretty wore out. So the topic of what we're going to be discussing today. Yes, this is the Responsibly Armed Citizen Show, so you would think we'd be talking about firearms today. But let's talk about what type of training that you can get yourself into that does not involve firearms. So think about some different places, where you can actually go, some good home practices, places to avoid, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So what comes to mind for you when we're talking about training without firearms?
So immediately I would say the less than lethal means, right? So you talk about your OC sprays, you talk about other deterrents, blades, things of that nature. The other thing that really comes to mind is just like I said, the situational awareness and preparedness. Now, there's a lot of situations, a lot of times where a firearm it's not appropriate. It's
Sure.
the wrong tool for the job. There are places that firearms are not permitted, right? And because of that, you still need to have a certain amount of awareness, certain amount of skill set, certain amount of ability to be able to identify that a situation's arising or something's happening, and you need to have that skill set, that know-how, that ability to, if you have to do something, that you can do that within your means.
Sure.
Tim, what about you?
I think physical fitness is really, really important. It's often overlooked in the training community. Getting yourself to a position where you can pick yourself up off the ground,
right.
And you can bend around a little bit easier, and making sure that you're looking out for longevity of your physical health. I think that's pretty important. If you plan to save yourself, because if a situation turns to you putting hands on someone else or someone else putting their hands on you, and you get into a tussle, man, you've got to have some strength. You've got to have some dexterity. You've got to be able to, or flexibility really. You got to be able to do those things without getting seriously injured to the best of your abilities.
Right. And keeping within what those abilities are. Something else that comes to mind with that. is, when, practicing, getting thrown around, like practicing in a safe way, right?
Sure.
I'm not talking about just go in the backyard and pummel each other, but, hey, there's a time and place maybe. But, when's the last time you've gotten hit in the face, Tim?
A few weeks ago, Kipley, he's got a mean right hook.
There you go. So like, I think there's an adage out there that, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face, right? But, in all seriousness, and unless you go through the motions of practicing some of these things, right? How do you know, you're not just going to, again, I think I've said it in other episodes, you're not just going to watch a YouTube video and become a master of it.
Right.
All right. Of, whatever it is, insert it here. But getting wrapped up with somebody, going in a learning environment,
Sure.
right? I'm not saying go to a bar or something like that and just go pick a fight. I'm
Probably
do
not a
not
wise
do that.
choice.
Not a wise choice. Yeah.
Now, so where do you go, right? If we're talking about hand to hand fighting, I'd say one of the better things that we have, that our children have, and that we had growing up is we had siblings.
Yep.
So I learned at an early age what it was like to get punched in the face a few times, right? Like it was nothing new to me. So that when it happened on the school ground or something like that, it wasn't a huge surprise and that type of thing. And moving forward later in life, I didn't go through life, thinking that my face was made of glass, right? So it is really important to have that, that safer type experience. Now, if you didn't grow up with siblings, or if you have never experienced those things, one of the better places to do it is to go to a professional gym. And there are some good ones out there. There are a lot of what we call McDojos that are selling you snake oil and that type of thing. But you're generally going to luck out if you find a good like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gym, or generally they practice a lot more than just folding each other up into pretzels. Like they do some strikes. Typically, you'll see these Gracie gyms will likely do judo. Judo is a little bit of a mix of like throwing people around and stuff like that. A lot of throws. So those are all really good things to get into. Just keep in mind when you're looking into like hand-to-hand type stuff, you want to find a professional gym, number one, with good reviews. And number two, not one art is going to be the best.
Right.
Like you don't just go to jiu-jitsu and say, this is all I need.
Right.
No, jiu-jitsu is a really, really good baseline, but taking those skills and applying them to context, and you might see some of those skills don't work really well, right? So having a mixture of that, maybe some boxing or Muay Thai or something, there's all kinds of things you can play around, and nothing says you have to go out and get a black belt in this.
Right.
You just you need to go experience it, spend a few months in it. You know, that's really it. Good home practices. I mean, we've been known to get together and inside of a small like club space and roll around on the mats. If we have some at home, or if you have a friend's house or something like that, you can get some mats fairly cheap, a couple $100, and take what you learn from the gym and go apply it with some of your friends.
There's actually some really good content that Craig Douglas puts out on the Warrior Report network, and talks a lot about just simple like dry fire type things that you and a buddy can do, as far as just trying different things, trying different. Again, that's not with an instructor, but that's better than nothing.
Right.
So learning how body moves and doing all kinds of things like that. Again, they're all different aids. Like I said, Craig Douglas, that's another one that's got phenomenal information. We got a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Responsibly Armed Citizen Show. I'm Frank Horvath. Joined with me in studio also is Tim Kelly, owner of Apache Solutions. We are talking about training without firearms, so different things to consider. Last segment we talked a little bit about where to go, some other things, hand-to-hand skills, things of that nature. We're going to shift it a little bit and start talking about like knives and nunchucks. So different tools. Again, places where a firearm is not the most optimal tool to use. Scenarios where the firearm is not necessarily the most optimal tool to use. You can use your knives and nunchucks where legal, and that's kind of the thing, right? So, we think of, firearms and knives as just kind of go hand to hand. You think of, what's your EDC, what's your everyday carry, and everyone's throwing out, like, just doing a pocket dump of just crap all over the table of blades and, all this extra stuff that you really don't always need. But there are times where a blade is preferred. There are times where a blade is really probably your only option, right, for a lethal encounter, we'll say. So, what are your thoughts on that, Tim?
So, my nunchuck skills are relatively extensive. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I could see you as like a Napoleon Dynamite level
most
of dynamite.
Definitely, most definitely. We'll have to get a video of that sometime. But no, in all seriousness, don't carry your nunchucks around. But a blade is most certainly a great option. One that first comes to mind, if pull out your pen and paper, folks, go to shivworkspg.com and look up the ShivWorks Clinch Pick 2.0. It is a great blade. Oh, look, he's got one that looks just like it.
Look at that.
Well, somewhat like it.
So this blade here, let me see if I can zoom in there real quick. So this blade here is the Apache Solutions, we'll call it proprietary clinch pick like-esque clone.
Yeah.
And we use this quite a bit, but this is the same style that the clinch pick is, right? And it's a phenomenal tool.
Right.
Works very well, especially if you get a little bit of practice and training, from ShivWorks, Craig Douglas. It's designed very well.
So one of the primary reasons why that blade is so effective is that the edge is actually on top. So it's a, I forget what Craig called it. It's a reverse edge.
Yep.
is what he titled it as, and that's so that you can easily access it from the center of your belt line.
Yep. And
if you're in a clinch, if somebody's on top of you or got your arms tied or something like that, you can manipulate that blade with just the flick of your wrist,
right,
and do a lot of damage. So that way, anyone that's trying to take that from you, they're going to get their hands diced up. So
right.
It's
or their forearms.
If there is anything out there that says get off of me, it's this blade right here,
100%.
right? Like, I cringe when I hear people talk about the get off me gun. And they talk about, accessing a firearm inside that such close proximity. And let me tell you, as somebody who's tried this, it does not work out well.
Right.
Like the first thing that you do when you have a gun enter that fight, everybody's trying to create distance with the gun.
Right.
So if they have access to the gun, they're going to try and take it, get distance so they can use it.
Right.
It's not as simple as pulling a firearm out of your pocket in close proximity and being able to use it. It doesn't always work out that well.
Not if you're wrapped up. Now, you're talking about defeating garments. You're talking about you're so close to somebody. Once you introduce a firearm into that environment, now they have access to a firearm in that environment too,
exactly.
right? You could be the creator of your own demise right there,
yeah.
especially if you don't have the significant attitude and personal skill set to be able to follow up with that.
Right.
So. No, I completely agree. Something else that you really think about is with a blade, you're sometimes it can create distance, but more often than not, you're you're bringing that in close. Like it is a close within arm's reach or closer. You're like hugging somebody. Type of tool that can cause massive amounts of trauma.
Right.
Especially if utilized appropriately.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, we showed a video of me getting my butt kicked inside of a car.
Yeah.
Right. That was in Craig Douglas's ECQC class, and at the very end of that class, he put you on what he calls the murder car. Mm-hmm. And inside the murder car, you do what you're seeing in the video, right? But it's less about the contextual aspect of, you're in a car and this guy's trying to mug you. Mm-hmm. It's more to try and confine you into a very, very tight space and limit your ability to move around, because you're going to find that in a lot of other different places. An elevator, a bathroom stall,
yep.
There's all kinds of different places, an alleyway, pinned between a dumpster or something like that. That type of experience can really help you with those things.
Right.
What we found in this is if there was somebody who's generally an ECQC graduate, they've seen it before, they're carrying around a clinch pick dummy knife. Mm-hmm. Anytime that those guys were in the car, that knife won.
Right.
Every single time. It doesn't matter if there was a gun involved or not. If you watch the opposite, when me and Tim Willis switched seats, and Tim was on that side and I was the bad guy, mm-hmm. Tim, stabbed me several times.
Right.
several times. Now, he never gained access to that gun,
right.
and I didn't know I was being cut, but he was dicing me up, man.
Right.
He was cutting me up like, some slices of cheesecake or something. It was crazy. And then you go back and you watch the video and you're like, oh my gosh, how easily he accessed it. It was super clean. Had he had brought a gun into it, well, he already had, but had he brought another gun into it, I'd have just gotten a hold of that.
Right.
And he wouldn't have done anything with it. It's a really, really difficult thing, especially in close proximity, to bring a handgun into that fight and expect it to actually work. Right. A blade is so much more efficient.
Right. And something else to consider, we'll say, I have my this is a remote control that's in my hand. I'm holding my remote control kind of sort of like a gun, right? Mm-hmm. But you have all of this leverage that's out towards the end, right, mm-hmm. of the gun. So, if somebody were to try to take that from you, I mean, they have quite a bit of force that's going against you. Well, when you have a blade, who's going to grab a hold of the blade mm-hmm. itself and try and remove that from you? You may be missing, the perpetrator, like the person that's assaulting you, they may have some missing fingers after that type of encounter if they're trying to do that, but or get really cut up. But there's so many advantages to having that blade, having that that bladed, that knife tool to for your self-defense.
Right.
Not even to mention the places that you can bring a blade that you cannot bring a firearm.
Right.
There's a number of places out there.
Getting different attire.
Absolutely. You're able to again within your own state laws. State laws vary from place to place. I think here in North Carolina it's what dirks and daggers. Mm-hmm. That's really the only thing that you can't carry. And switchblades. I think that's a piece of that also. But regardless, there's your attire, but there's also like the utilitarian aspect of carrying a blade with you. Everyone in North Carolina, when you walk around, has a knife on their person or in their purse or something like that. It's common. Mm-hmm. What's not so common is seeing, and hopefully you won't see, but seeing that open carry, or seeing that other person who is inappropriately carrying a concealed firearm, to where it's very evident, very obvious that they're doing it for show and not necessarily for self-defense.
Sure. Yeah, and the having like a little folding knife or something like that isn't what I'm talking about for self-defense. Could you use one for self-defense? If the situation worked out that way, yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. But typically your folding knife, it wouldn't be a primary tool to access in order to save yourself, especially in a close proximity fight. What you're really looking for is a fixed blade of some sort, and you need to have access to it from the center line. In front of your body, somewhere up front, you need to be able to access it from your left hand or your right hand in a clinch. Yep. And those types of blades win every single time in some of these entangled fights that you see at in places like ECQC, or if you go to a jiu-jitsu gym and they happen to have some rubber blades or something like that. If you see the folks trying to access it from behind their back, from their pocket, or something like that, oftentimes those dudes are getting pinned and they're losing. They're not getting it out in time, and the other person's being able to take advantage of them. So a center line access blade is excellent, an excellent tool. Now, where can you practice this type of thing? Once again, very much like the different dojos and stuff like that that are around, most Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gyms, you're going to be able to find a little diversity. A lot of times, some of those places will offer different tools and stuff. And then you have places, you have different places. I know Ryan Hoover has a place down in Charlotte. It is fantastic. It's Fit to Fight Republic. He has been on my list for years now. I've wanted to get down there and train with them for a long time. I've been following their content. Ryan and I think very, very similarly. He does some Krav Maga stuff, but he's not like a Kool-Aid drinking, Krav Maga is the only, the only thing that wins. But he has a lot of practical self-defense options for folks who want to work on hands-on type stuff, hands-on skills, throws, strikes, blades, even close-quarter firearm stuff. So there's a lot of different things that you can do there. The other thing I want to point out that Ryan has, or Fit to Fight Republic has, I'm going to see if I can't find their website, if you could find that for me, Frank.
Yep.
One of the other things that they have, I've had access to a few of them. They have a lot of like videos that you can purchase through their website and use that for practice at home. So they'll have different dry fire videos. They have different videos for knife fighting, different videos for all kinds of different stuff. So if you're looking for avenues to train at home under some type of guide, professional guide, I would seriously look into Ryan Hoover. And he's right down the road, man.
Yeah,
he's right down the road.
So I'm on his website now, taking a look at some of his information. And what's really neat about it is it's fittofight.com/Charlotte. And so looking at their website, they have some great stuff. All right, we got a break coming up. We'll be right back. I'll do it. Welcome back to the Responsibly Armed Citizen Show. We had a hard break right at the end there. It got carried away talking about all the things. So continuing our conversation on Fit to Fight Charlotte. We're on their website now. They have some really, really great information. One thing that I wanted to add to that is they have something again on their website that they're calling their mixed modern combatives levels, right? And so it goes, foundational, level 1, 2, all the way up through level 6, and it really breaks down, their content, like, skills that you'll be learning. Neat stuff. Yeah. Really neat stuff. Definitely looks like something that I'm going to pursue personally.
You'll take me with you. I want to go.
It's very cool. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have to dive into that a little bit.
So if you are just now getting into the show, we've been talking about all the different types of training that exist for the responsibly armed citizen that doesn't involve a firearm. One of the common complaints that we get from many of our students, that we, not just in North Carolina but all over the country, they would talk about, like, man, I really love this class that you taught and the skills that you taught, but only about 75% of it I cannot practice at my local range.
Right.
And so it really puts a damper on things. So we have to really get creative with a lot of our dry fire work and stuff to help encourage them to continue working on those skills. Other than that, like having the ability to find other avenues that you can train in that doesn't involve a firearm and those restrictions, you have access to a gym. Go get in good physical condition, mm-hmm. right? Go take yourself down to the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gym and get wrapped up like a pretzel, mm-hmm. Go get some experience in boxing and stuff like that. Yep. Nothing's saying that you got to go be a competitor or anything like that, but right. You get experience in it. We were talking about earlier about the benefits of having been punched in the face. Yep. That there is really some benefit to that. I would rather have that experience in a controlled environment than the first time I ever get punched in the face be from some dude who's trying to take my life.
Right.
And
there's benefits to that. Getting wrapped up again in a controlled environment, getting hit in that controlled environment. Sure, you're going to walk away with some bruises. You're going to You may even walk away with a hurt ego, right? Mm-hmm. But that's beneficial to you. That's helpful for you in the long run. Being able to identify areas that you are weak in, right, and then constructively build towards that is worth everything. That potentially is worth your life one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So taking the time now and saying, all right, I kind of suck here, mm-hmm. And admitting that you kind of suck there, and then doing something to make it so that you don't necessarily suck as bad there, mm-hmm. in the future. It's worth it. I mean, right. There's just so much benefit to doing that.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget fit2fight.com. Go check them out. And if you're in the area, go take a class from them. I've heard nothing but good things about Ryan and Amber. They put on really great classes. And again, it's of the mindset that is more practical to the everyday citizen. This isn't competitive sports for them. This is a way to try to make you bigger, faster, stronger, and harder to be victimized. And I can truly appreciate their concepts, and hopefully we'll see you down there with them. Next topic. What are your thoughts on tasers and pepper spray?
I like the pepper spray piece.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not a fan of the tasers.
I keep one in my purse.
Your man purse?
Yes.
So I absolutely love the spicy juice, right? Mm-hmm. So the pepper spray, OC spray, those chemical deterrents. They are a fantastic aid. I'm not a fan of tasers. There's a couple different reasons there. Taser is an electrical device. There are different ways of deploying a taser effectively if you've been trained. The problem with tasers is, more often than not, I see the general public will, go buy a taser or something like that, and they'll stick it in their bag, and then they go zap zap and playing with it a couple of times, and then that's it. They don't do anything else. The body, taser delivers, thousands, tens of thousands of volts, sometimes 100,000 volts inside of a body in a very small controlled space. So that makes all of the nerves and the muscles twitch, right? People react differently to those devices.
Right.
Some people it's extremely effective on.
Right.
Other people not so much. So that's one of those things. It's kind of, being able to, be close enough in distance where you can, deploy a taser. That means like you're within arm's reach. Like there's too much of a risk there for that to, to in my mind anyway, to really be an ultra effective tool. As far as like what us everyday responsible armed citizens can go and purchase. The pepper spray, on the other hand, that is a distance tool, right? So it doesn't matter. You can be at 0 feet, like when we can be within conversational distance, or we can have a little bit of space between us, and it can still be deployed effectively. It's effective against people. It's effective against dogs. It's effective against anything that's really coming at you within reason.
Sure.
So. Yeah, that's my spiel. That's how I feel.
I'll try to summarize mine the best I possibly can because I've got a lot of thoughts on this. I think we could probably have an entire show based on.
We might need to do that.
Yeah, tasers, stun guns, and pepper spray, that type of thing. But I want to try to inform our audience here how we get these different training mindsets along the way. Most of these training mindsets come from law enforcement and military.
Right.
So if you look at your standard law enforcement officer, they carry a variety of what you and I carry. Like we carry a variety of what they carry, right? We carry medical gear, we carry a firearm, we carry some type of blade on us, we carry
OC,
light, we carry OC. The one thing we don't carry are stun guns or tasers.
Correct.
And to kind of give everybody a mental image of what I'm talking about, a stun gun is more of the zap, the thing you buy at the gun shows and stuff like that, the cheap Chinese, 10,000 volt zap. And then the taser is something that deploys electrodes that generally stick into somebody with these little needles. And then they have to be spread out a certain width. Like there's all types of training that's involved for that.
Yep.
So the reason why we don't carry those things is because we are not trying to subdue anyone.
Right.
We are not trying to detain anyone.
Right.
We're not trying to arrest anyone. We are simply trying to defend ourselves and get away.
Stopping a threat.
Right. That's it. Stop them from doing whatever it is that warrants that particular level of force and getting away.
Right.
So having a taser as a police officer is great because I can shock them and make them do what I want. Now put your hands behind your back so I can handcuff you much easier.
Right.
Right. For us, what do? I zap them and then try to run away. Well, I mean, the effects of that tase
have already worn off.
Yeah, it's going to wear off unless you're like, I don't know. Regardless, pepper spray is much more useful.
Absolutely.
A pepper spray is something that you can spray someone in the face and seconds later they are completely down and out.
Yep.
Right. Now, this is one of those 60% of the time it works every time things. It doesn't work on everyone, no.
Right.
But there is a high percentage of people that it does work on, and it is a very useful tool, if for nothing more than a distraction, right? To allow you time and space to access a different tool, or to, beat feet and run away. So these are all great things. Let's talk about training for them, though. Like where do I go if I'm going to carry pepper spray? Again, I would encourage you not to carry around tasers and stun guns. These are not. These are really not tools for the everyday armed citizen.
Yeah. And something else to consider there is I don't even think that you can get a taser in North Carolina as far as for civilian use. But I could be wrong there. But you can definitely pick up stun guns. But
There's one thing I want to hit on that with tasers and stun guns, specifically tasers and some of the pepper spray options that are available. Folks, if it looks like a gun, it may be treated like a gun.
Right.
If you're drawing it from your waistband and it's in the shape of a gun, it could be treated like a gun. So careful with the options that you choose.
Especially like the pepper ball.
Yeah.
The where it's a special, almost like a airsoft gun or a paintball gun that shoots these little OC spray enabled pepper balls. I mean that can be super dangerous,
Right.
especially if when you encounter law enforcement or something like that. I mean, there's definite scenarios out there where that is not going to work out to the best of your ability. While we're talking about the OC spray. There's lots of different ways that you can go out there. You can find other companies that will help, work with you on the proper deployment of that. Apache Solutions, we can absolutely do that. There's actually a video on our YouTube where you see a number of us, not me, but a number of us get sprayed with OC spray and kind of see the effects of that. It is great. It is so. If I need to pick me up, I go watch that video.
Yeah.
But who are some of the others that are out there?
So I would say that you could contact Palm Industries, and those guys, will speak to the folks who are actually doing it right now in the training community. There are a ton of, not really a ton actually. It's kind of
There's
limited.
a handful. It's a niche. Yeah.
Now. There has been some instructor level training courses that have been offered out there specifically for pepper spray, and I'm trying to think of the name right now. It's just left me.
Yeah.
I'll get you some names here in a little bit. I've been a little bit distracted because I wanted to tell you about. You said about the civilian tasers and what's out there. There is a taser pulse for self-defense, and it looks like a gun. And that's what they do. They try to market this towards people who don't want to use a firearm to protect themselves, right? This thing looks like a little Glock, actually it kind of looks like maybe a 365 or a little Kel-Tec or something like that. Either way, if it looks like a gun, it may be treated like a gun. So you have to be careful about, deploying such tools. And they're really not that effective, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, and when we were going back and talking about different people, not long ago we took a course. Well, I would say not long ago. It's probably been better than a year or more. John Murphy. So John Murphy up in Virginia has got a great course talking, going through the motions of how to properly deploy pepper spray, OC spray, things of that nature, and kind of the difference between the two. There's quite a bit of information that's out there. Beware of the internet. Not everything you see on the internet is true, just like anything. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with you.
welcome back. Welcome back to the Rack Show. You are listening to the Responsibly Armed Citizen Show. We talk about everything regarding the responsibly armed citizen. This show has been great. We've been talking about different opportunities for training without firearms. So everything from hand-to-hand knives, pepper spray, that type of thing. And some of the things to avoid, where to go, some good home practices. This has been a great show. I think there's a lot of great information in here for our listeners and our viewers. Be sure to check this episode out. If you're just now jumping in, go visit our YouTube channel and take a look at it. So we left off talking about pepper spray, and I had a complete
brain fart.
Yeah, brain fart, man. I don't know what I was thinking.
We had a collective brain fart.
Yeah, I was so I was trying to find. I was like, no, I know there's a civilian taser out there that these folks need to try to avoid. So I was sitting there trying to find that, and I was like, wait a minute. I need to think of an instructor who teaches pepper spray. It's Chuck Haggard, folks, Agile Training Group. He was just here. He was just at Apache Range back in May. Yeah. This last May, and he taught a fantastic one-day pepper spray course, and he uses inert pepper spray, so you're not getting sprayed with live agents unless you beg him to, and then he might do it for show or something.
He'll bless you with a jerk sauce.
Yeah. But for the most part, his class operates in such a way that you do not need that, and there's a lot of really good practical application that you can take home from that class. And don't be intimidated by the instructor title. Like it says it's an instructor course. Don't be intimidated by that title. If you are a responsibly armed citizen, every single one of you should be some type of trainer or instructor. You should be educating your families. You should be educating your friends. Right. That type of thing. So that is an excellent class to jump into, to learn how to teach it. He really goes into depth on the content too. Like he talks about the different types of pepper spray, what makes pepper spray work, where it came from, its origin, all of that jazz. He really goes into great depth over it. And then the practical application portion is it's priceless, man. Like you learn so much. You learn about timing. You learn about managing unknown contacts, and it's not just about pepper spray. You learn about using your words to protect yourself. You learn about all kinds of different stuff, and it's amazing to me how much material Chuck actually covers in such a short period of time. Right. It is a great class, one that everybody should be looking into. Hopefully we'll have Chuck back. I don't think he'll be coming back next year. We've already got a jam-packed schedule for next year, but hopefully we'll have him back in maybe 2025 or something. Otherwise, keep a lookout for him. Agile Training Group, Chuck Haggard. So let's
Competency of the month.
Competency of the month. It is a new month. So now that we stepped into November, we've changed out the competency of the month. As always, I feel like I have to give you some back history on the competency of the month, so I'll try to make this brief.
We need to just pre-record this.
We need to pre-record.
We're going to do this. Yeah.
Okay. So the competency of the month, it started out as a way for us to challenge each other within the cadre inside of Apache Solutions, to try and challenge each other on different subjects that we need to, as instructors, we need to be able to speak on. Yep. And so every month we send out this, we send out an email to the cadre, and we challenge them with a question. And our folks within our cadre will submit videos, they'll submit articles, whatever, on the topic, and have great in-depth discussions over it, and they're fantastic. So it's promoted growth here, and we wanted to share that with the Rack Show. We wanted to share that with our viewers and our listeners, and help promote some more learning for them as well. So
and to get some engagement there too.
Right.
So whenever we talk about the competency of the month, whenever we talk about anything that's in the show, if you guys want to reach out to us, rack at apacheNC.com, rac at apacheNC.com. Send us your thoughts.
Yeah.
For our competency of the month, this month, Tim's going to give it to us here in a minute. Tell us what you think. Give us your article. Give us your YouTube video. Give us your thoughts, right? And join in on the family. Join in on the cadre.
Absolutely. So this month, discuss areas where off-body carry would be appropriate.
Ooh.
What changes?
So discuss areas where off-body carry would be appropriate. So, quick story. Tim and I actually took a class on off-body carry together. Or I want to say class. It was a short workshop at a TACCon, which is down in Texas.
Evie Kolskar.
Evie Kolskar, that's right. And we did some great things with Evie, including rocking some purses.
Yeah.
I think we got some bright blue, bright green purses that are Tim and mine that we're rocking. But the purpose there of areas where body would be appropriate. You start thinking of places where keeping the fire on your person, maybe some medical things where you're limited as far as what you're able to carry on your hips or weight that you're able to carry on your hips. I immediately think of like a bag, right? I immediately think of some sort of bag, some sort of purse, something like that, where I would still need, I still want that I call it peace of mind, still want that availability to be able to get to that tool. But for whatever reason, I'm not able to have that tool, on my person, on my body. There's some issues with that. There's quite a bit of issues. there's quite a bit of things there that we need to be cognizant of, especially when you are now removing that tool, right? That potentially deadly tool if used in specific scenarios off of your body, off of your person, and sticking it inside of another movable bag, right? Another movable something, right? It's hairy.
Yeah, man, it really is, and there are certain circumstances where I believe off-body carry it may be one of their only options.
Yeah.
Right. But as a primary method of carry,
no,
I don't know that that's. I think we should try to look at the other avenues the best we possibly can.
Yeah.
But if we're going to carry off-body, there's something that really, really changes, and folks need to really seriously consider, and that's primarily is the security of your firearm.
Yeah,
right?
That was the first thing going in my head.
What is more likely to happen is a person, an unwanted individual, put their hands inside your purse and pull it out and do something with it. Take it, leave with it, hurt somebody with it, hurt you with it. The security of your firearm it's at much greater risk than it would be if you were carrying it on your person. The next thing is
to add to that security of the firearm, prohibiting access from unauthorized persons. Think of a kid or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing that goes in my mind. If you throw it in a purse, you throw it in a backpack. The likelihood that an unauthorized person is going to gain access to that, and they're going to see and gain access to that firearm is too great. I mean, there's a lot there that you have to consider.
Yeah. So as far as security goes, a lot of times what ends up happening is because folks don't have practice in this and they haven't been carrying to begin with, that gun never leaves the purse, or it never leaves the bag. Oh, that's my gun. That's my bag
gun.
My bag gun, whatever, or my purse gun. It stays in my purse. No, unless you take your purse and you put it inside some type of safe storage every evening, and that's how you treat it, then no. Because if you don't have some type of transition, like a physical transition at the end and the beginning and the end of your day, you're going to forget it.
Yep.
You're going to forget it's there. And then it's going to be gone for a week.
Yep.
And then you're going to be like,
you're going to get out of the habit.
Wait a minute. I knew I had a gun in here. Oh, I must have left it at home somewhere. So then another week's going to go by because you're going to spend a week looking for it.
Yep.
You're going to be flipping over the couch cushions. You're going to be, looking all over the place. And then you're going to spend a week trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. How am I going to, do I need to report this? What am I going to do about it? So it's going to take you about a month of losing this gun and never noticing it because you don't have any type of consistent transition every morning and every evening.
Right.
Every time if you're going to carry it in your purse, it needs to come out of a vault, out of a
Storage
safe,
container,
a storage
right.
container, something. And then it needs to go through a process of getting it ready and put into your purse.
For use,
Or into your bag. That's one of the primary issues that I have with off-body carry, is that people will simply forget about it. And you don't believe me, there are so many instances out there where this has happened, and someone has got a hold of that and hurt or killed someone.
Yep.
Most of the time it's kids.
Right.
It's folks who are underage, under the age of 18, Yeah, I mean, security is one of my biggest issues with this. The next one would be ease of access.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's extremely complex.
Yeah,
right?
it's a cumbersome process.
Sure.
You're talking about defeating whatever is closing that whatever's accessing that bag. If the firearm is in a condition to where and it should be, it's in a good holster inside of that thing. Defeating gaining access to that, defeating that holster, whatever it may be. And then putting it into application, like actually using that tool. There's so many things that potentially can go wrong, way more so than if it were on your person.
Right.
It's again, you're complicating an already semi-complicated process.
Absolutely. So we only have about a minute left of the show, so I want to just task out something to our listeners and our viewers. I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on where do you think off-body carry would be most appropriate? Give me some circumstances where this might be the best way to carry. Tell us about your experiences of off-body carrying. If you're someone that carries in a purse, or if you're carrying a bag or something like that, we want to hear about your experiences and help you along the way if we can, or you help us along the way. Help educate us on what's working great for you and what isn't. That way we can share that with our students. Otherwise, I believe that's about all we got, Frank.
Yeah. Tim, it's been a great show. Really looking forward to talking with you next week. And you've been listening to The Rack Show, the Responsible Armed Citizen Show. Reach out to us at rac@apacheNC.com, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.